Welcome back to Luke Talks Palace, where today we will be discussing transfer target Andy Diouf, and we will also be talking about why he is the perfect signing for Oliver Glasner and Crystal Palace this summer. As always, if you're new around here, do not forget to subscribe. We're on our way to 1,000 subscribers. Can we get there before the season starts? Big ask, I know. Can you also like and comment on the video if you enjoyed? Let me know if you would like to see us sign Andy Diouf or if you'd like to see us sign someone else. If so, who would you like to see us sign? And also, if there's any other transfer targets you want me to do a video on, Diamande or someone like that, again, let me know in them comments. Before we talk about tactics and look at his stats, let's talk about the transfer rumour and speak about Diouf, who he kind of is, what sort of player he is. Andy Diouf has been heavily linked to Crystal Palace for the last few months now, I think even since January of this year. It was most recently reported that our scouts have been keeping an eye on Andy Diouf and that we watched him at the recent under-21 European Championships where he was playing for France. At the Euros, Diouf featured twice for France en route to the semi-finals, playing the full 90 minutes in two of their matches. He then came on for 16 minutes in that semi-final defeat. Diouf is 22, a long-term target for the Eagles, like I've said before, and he features prominently on Palace's shortlist for central midfield reinforcements. Diouf made 37 appearances for Lens last season there in Ligue 1. Now this week, this transfer rumour has kind of heated up. The latest transfer update is that Burnley also want to sign him. They have reportedly agreed a fee around 14 to 15 mil for him, but they are struggling to agree personal terms whilst he is also talking to Palace. Diouf also apparently prefers to join Crystal Palace, even though we haven't agreed a fee yet for the Frenchman, whilst Burnley have. Now, you would like to think if we're against Burnley, we're probably going to easily win that battle. It looks like that's already the case. But we haven't made that bid. It is not 100% certain that we will make a transfer bid for him this summer. Whether we need him is another discussion in terms of squad depth. I personally think we do, which I'll dive into later. But it's whether Glasner believes we need him right now. That would be really interesting to see. At the moment, it doesn't look like we're too worried about losing out. But I believe we should be because I think he's an absolute baller. Now, let's talk about why I believe he's the perfect fit for Ollie Glasner's Crystal Palace. Diouf perfectly fits the Crystal Palace transfer target profile. He is young, but he's good enough to play in the Premier League already. He also has top potential, is available for a fairly decent price, especially in the market like it is today, and one in which we could definitely make profit off in the future. That is essential. Right, what sort of midfielder is Diouf? Well, let me tell you. Diouf is known for his progressive passing and dribbling. These are attributes that really suit Palace's two-man midfield. Let's look at his stats on FBref because they show how he can be the perfect partner for a midfielder who is more defensive and how he offers something very different to what any midfielder in our current team possesses. So, this is the really fun bit. When it comes to Diouf's stats compared to midfielders in Europe's top 5 leagues, Diouf is 79 percentile for non-penalty XG, 85 percentile for shots total, and also 4 shot creating actions. Diouf manages 3.32 progressive carries a game, which puts him in the 97th percentile, and he also manages 3.8 progressive passes received per game, which puts him in the 87th percentile. From these stats, you can see the exact type of player Diouf is. He's a very gifted progressive midfielder who is technically very good on the ball and who can push the team up the pitch with his traits that help control the tempo of a match. Some of these traits probably remind you of a certain midfielder, Mr. Adam Wharton himself. Both seem able to pass the ball forward with ease and easily penetrate opposition defences with key passes. And also looking at Diouf, he kind of has that trait like Wharton has where he can pass forward really quickly without kind of the defence being able to react in time. That is massively crucial. Despite this, they are still quite different players. As I said, both are really good at passing progressively. However, Diouf adds something that Wharton really doesn't have. He adds that attacking ability on the ball. He can run past defenders or midfielders with ease and carry the ball forward, whilst Wharton is more about that quick pass forward. This from Diouf is something really crucial. That would be so nice to see. I would say none of our current midfielders, Kamada, Hughes, Wharton, Lerma, can kind of offer that technical dribbling ability on the ball like Diouf has. Diouf would give us the perfect similarities to Wharton, but also some big differences, adding a different type of midfielder to our middle two. This is perfect for certain games. You know, it's not going to work for every game, but for certain games where we need to open up the midfield, when we need to open up the opposition defence, someone like Diouf could be ideal. What I will say is one thing Diouf massively lacked is defensive traits compared to Adam Wharton, and to be honest, compared to other midfielders in our squad. His stats for tackles and interceptions aren't great, but they're also not rubbish. So this is something that we could definitely improve on. And with someone like Glasner, you know he's going to be able to improve our midfielders. He has managed 1.5 tackles per game and 0.7 interceptions a game. Meanwhile, just to compare to someone like Wharton, Wharton's tackling is 2.32 tackles per game and his interceptions are 1.37 per game. By the way, that from Wharton, the interceptions per game puts him 87th percentile. Whilst we have the more defensive midfielders in Hughes, Lerma, and I would argue Kamada as well, Diouf would help alleviate some of the attacking pressure off Wharton, be it paired up with the Englishman or paired up with the other midfielders. With more games for Palace next season, we need that squad depth, and Diouf is still only 22, so he would provide future key player potential and be able to come into the squad when called upon next season. I think this is also crucial. You know, if you kind of want a player similar to Wharton, you sometimes won't want to start them. You want them on the bench. Maybe in the 60th minute, you know, Wharton's not really been effective in that game. I would say this season we've had to keep him in the team. Not saying he hasn't been good this season. I'm just saying, you know, every player has their moments. They don't kind of grow into that game. They just have an off day. If we could have someone like Diouf who can maybe come on and replace Wharton if he isn't playing alongside him, it would be ideal. You feel like you're not losing that attacking quality that Wharton has. So I think that's also really good is Diouf is 6'2" or just under 6'2", adding some much needed height to our relatively small midfield. I know Lerma has the aerial quality, but someone like Diouf being in there would be massively, massively useful. The middle two is such an important position on the pitch for us. So many goals have been created either by big tackles from the midfield and counters from the middle two, or important passes forward from the midfield with speed so that we can catch the opposition defence out of position. Think of Kamada in the FA Cup final. I love the look of Diouf. He has traits similar to our midfielders and no doubt would be able to thrive under a manager like Glasner. I do think he would need some time. Kamada needed some time, and it takes players to adapt to that middle two. You know, they're kind of used to a middle three, or we're going to be playing against the middle three. So you really need to adapt to having that one less midfielder in there. Diouf looks a very, very promising player, and I have no doubt he'd be able to kind of adjust to Glasner's tactics with ease. He would definitely start out as a player with depth, but moving forward long term, he would no doubt feel somewhat like a future key player and possibly even an Adam Wharton replacement. With attacking skills, decent skills defensively, and you know, that ability to grow, Diouf just really, really excites me. I really don't want to miss out on that signing at all. I think he'd be a really, really fun asset for the club to have. I do hope we move forward with this signing. You could argue maybe we don't need it, but it would also mean it may add a bit more depth to our defence because Lerma could push back to centre-back and we could kind of have Hughes, Diouf, Wharton, Kamada on rotation, sometimes Lerma if needed be. But, you know, if Palace are going to be playing in Europe next season, that's 50 to 60 games we're going to be playing. So, you know, we need depth. There will be injuries, you know. You need to cover for that. You need to adapt. As long as players like Diouf who come in are happy kind of rotating and growing and becoming a future key player, they'd be amazing for us. This has been Luke Talks Palace, and I'll see you later.